Um, so today I am Nirav Amrelia, and today is the last as well as this the third day of our semester 4 presentation. And today the topic I have chosen from the paper African Literature, that is the political corruption and capitalist dominance in Thiong'o's Petals of Bloods. So first, I'd like to introduce something like that. In my title, I have mentioned this flag is there, and there's Mau Mau rebellion. So the whole play, we can say, or the whole novel centers around this Mau Mau rebellion. So let us see how political corruption was there after in the post-independent Kenya, and how capitalist dominance was there. Okay, so it is the introductory slide to the novel, and first let us see the highlighted part. So written by Sir Thiong'o, and it was first published in 1977. So it deals with the social and economic problems in East Africa. So East, where the Kenya is located, in the Africa continent. So after independence, a greedy indigenous bourgeoisie. So how after British left in 1963 when this Kenya got independence, so how bourgeoisie were taking control over them, it was mentioned there. And the plot is based around the Kenyan emergency. So the Kenyan emergency, which is also known as Mau Mau rebellion, which took place between 1952 to 1960. So even in this Mau Mau rebellion, there was this between this timeline, this 1952 to 52 to 1960. So British wielded the power. So British overpowered this Kenya. Though in 1963, after 3 years, Kenya got independence from the British rule. And there are major characters like Munira. There are four major characters. One is woman, three are male. One is Munira, a school teacher who comes from the rich Jewish Christian family, and Vanja, and Abdullah and Karega. So minor characters like such as Nyakin Nyua, Kimeria, Chui, Nadiri Variera. The novel offers an account of the combination of, so what novel basically offers to the reader, it offers the combination of political content and artistic form. So how political content can be written in artistic form, it is there. Well, so how political corruption is there in the novel. So Petals of Blood attacks the socio-political reality in Africa, bribery, corruption. So these are some kind of say like frills of this main skirt. That is this political corruption, this bribery, corruption, nepotism became. So let us and again this Sir Terry Eagleton, a leading Marxist critic, in his book Marxism and Literary Criticism. So first thing is that this book, Marxism and Literary Criticism, comes in 1976, a year before the novel was published in 1977. So, in this, so how this applicability can be seen within the context of the novel, as far as this political corruption is concerned there. So, Sir Terry Eagleton writes that I think what we are striving for is a form of organization that will release this tremendous energy of the people of East Africa, that is the people of Kenya. I think there is the danger of a black bourgeoisie, the new masters, as Anya Lumba has also mentioned, the new masters. So after these old masters, those were the colonizers, they are left, they leave the country. Then now who is the new masters? So the bourgeoisie, the elite class, the upper class aristocrat people, they will rule or they will build the power over this proletariat people. So it is there. And yes. So here, yes, these images are also given. So in the fifth, so how can we see this within the context of the novel? So where in the novel it occurs? So in the fifth chapter, so the overall novel is written in the 13th chapter in total. So it is quite lengthy a novel. So around 300 to 400 pages are there. In the fifth chapter of the novel, Petals of Blood, there comes the reference of the political rot. Political rot means political defilation, we can say, in post-independent Kenya. So once Kenya got independent, so what kind of political situation was there in there? So the year, so it is the lines from the novel I have written there. The year that followed Wanja's departure from Ilmoro was momentous for the whole country. It was the year that started with a mysterious political murder. Now what happens? That mysterious political murder of whom? Then he was a national of Asian origins. It is true, but one famous somebody like who was protesting against this imperialism power even before this country got independence from the British rule, and even when this country got independence, then the person was killed. Why? Because he was opposing against the imperialistic power that exists within the nation. So here you will find this dictator kind of person is walking over, and another thing is interesting thing is this red color red. So it can be symbolized as the Marxism, that he is walking over the poor's blood and blood as well. So the person is naked, and even the people are throwing their shirts to make their emperor like person, dictator, autocrat walk on that. And in the second image, you will find that African leadership is mummified totally. So it is totally taped around. So it cannot do anything. So it just stays there, it sees, but it is unable to do anything. So it is the African leadership. And in the next slide, I have mentioned this politicians and the state forces. So how Olutola writes that politicians and the state forces of coercion do the acts of savagery and brutality. So quite kleptocratic state, we can say dystopic society, as Sir Orwell has also envisioned like this. And so day in and day out, see Uwasomba, he also writes that day in and day out, the African continent, the whole African continent is talking about, not particularly Kenya, but it includes the Kenya as well. The African continent is wrecked by afflictions, disasters, macroeconomic crises, and dysfunctions, debt overhang, corruption, high-level illiteracy, squalor, disease, hunger, and other negative and destabilizing conditions thrown up by imperialism. Again, this reference of imperialism comes that once the Britishers have left, then who will rule the power? Then the imperialistic power will be there. So hyper-nationality, the jingoist people will be there, like we have to bring our old culture back. So this regressive approach, these two trajectory are there, then right or left or regressive or progressive things. So these people are regressive, those who favor in imperialism. So again, we can compare this thing like again, I would like to remind you that there is the four institutions. There are four institutions in Victorian society, where the one is the home institution, where the father rules because he earns or he is the sole breadwinner of the home. So here what happens, like if we can compare the father as the politician or the new master, then and child as the people or the populace of the country, then we say, okay, this populace of the country are like having this tendency that if my father gives me chocolate or anything that I like, then I will obey my father only then. So if politicians are like showing something, some tinsels to the people or some kind of offer schemes, then the people will follow them. Whatever they will speak, like Lucky and Pozo in Waiting for Godot, we find that whatever Lucky speaks, Pozo repeats. So these things will happen. But here people are forgetting that power is there in their hand, not in the ruler's hand or not in the leader's hand. So these things should be done, and this thing is there. Again, so in the following chapter number 6, so before we saw the chapter number 5, in the following chapter number 6, the author highlights the uselessness of the education system. Now again, see in novel what happens, like he hits upon this education system, that how neocolonialism and many other things, like so how education system was hinted by him of the education system that was only focused on theory based teaching and learning along with the timid teachers who here in the times of dire drought in Ilmoro failed to address the issue at the moment. So now what happens, like the teachers here, our teachers are like the Munira is the main teacher, and Wanja and Karega are also teaching to the children there in the Ilmoro village. Okay. So what happens basically, there is a drought or famine, we can say. So there, these teachers are like this. And again, how novelist expresses his anguish by writing. See, let me read a few of lines from this quotation from the novel. So it was hopeless. It was a gigantic deception. He and Munira were two ostrich. So again, he compares this that Karega and Munira were two ostrich. So he gives metaphor to this. Ostrich burying their heads in the sand of a classroom, ignoring the howling winds and the sun outside. So whatever situation was there outside, they were not hinting upon it. They were just taking children in the only syllabus-based thing. So they were not going out. So this is not the good thing in the education system. So whatever you are learning, we basically feel that you have to connect it with the outside. And many teachers are doing that, and they are just like targeted by the outsiders. You are teaching these children. You are just putting these children against pitting them against us like this. But it is not so that this is the duty of a teacher that should be done. But here it is not done. So this critique is made by the author. And how could they, as teachers, here it further says, how could they, as teachers, albeit in a primary school, ignore the reality of draft, the listless faces before them? Listless faces mean the children. What had education, history, and geography, and nature study, and maths got to say to this draft? Now all their education system is failing because they are not applying the real life things, because it is the thing that whatever we are learning is there in the outside life. Otherwise it is of no significance. It is quite null and void thing. And now again I have quoted Anya Lumba, that Anya Lumba has rightly quotes honest. So there should be D in quoted. Fine, I will rectify it later on. So Ernest Renan in her groundbreaking work titled as Colonialism and Post-Colonialism. So we have learned this second edition 2005, which was published in the, so with reference to what we know today as eugenics. So again, the labor division in post, we can say post-independent Kenya, how it was like. See, here one image, I think, yes, you can see that there is a kind of a business person. He was fed by the poor. And generally, we have this notion, like in Gujarati, we suppose say that Santoshi Nar Sada Sukhi. So those who have kind of satiation within them, they are always happy. But it is not so. Within satiation, you are feeding those eaters or those wolves, we can say. So how Anya Lumba expresses these things in her book, like so, resist ideologies. So she quotes whom this Ernest Renan. So resist ideologies identify different sections of people as intrinsically or biologically suited for particular task. Amy Cizare angrily quotes Ernest Renan on this point. So again, verbal irony is coming here. So these things is that how like here a race of masters and soldiers. So again, these words are like quite key words to understand the themes of scenario of the political thing. The race of masters and soldiers. So these two races, in terms of this political scenario, are very dangerous because masters are there to rule, and who will protect them? The soldiers will protect them. On cost of whom? On cost of the people. Those who are going to be ruled by the masters and the soldiers as well. This is the thing there, and let me move further. Okay, yeah. So now the second point of our presentation is the capitalist dominance. Capitalist dominance. So there is no rule that political fiction shouldn't wear its heart on its sleeve. And Petals of Blood, which is filled with intricate threading of different stories and first-person narratives, is not a simplistic anti-capitalism manifesto. So Kasim writes in this article in the Guardian. Ngũgĩ interprets the class struggle in the novel along the Marxist line. So again, the reference of Marxism is coming time and again because he is Thiong'o is like a Marxist literary author, we can say, and this is the thing, and playwright as well. The struggle is a result of the conduct of the power elite in their relationship with the lower classes. So how the struggle is happening that between these class, there is a clash between elite and lower classes after the colonizers left or the British left. So again, there is a good book by Paul Kennedy, African Capitalism, that you can also refer to. So these things, so how capital was taking a curb over the people, or over, especially over the poor class, it was there. Now some things like that. Ngũgĩ has criticized capitalism in this novel. He has exposed the ugly side of it. So it is not so that capitalism has always brought the ugly side. There is a good side as well, that it turns up people to do something very like speedily, or we can say, or whatever they are having, they have to be forced to do it. So, but here what happens that Ngũgĩ Thiong'o only focuses upon the ugly side of it. And now, how does it occur in the novel? So, in the part 2, so it is not the chapter 2, but it is the part 2. So there is part 1, 2, and 3 in between the chapterization. So in the part 2, toward Bethlehem, Abdullah gives his testimony of once having been the part. So Abdullah is the character, like he is having one bar in Ilmorong, and he has an adopted son. Joseph is the name, and this things is there. So Abdullah gives his testimony of once having been the part of the Mau Mau rebellion, which was against the bourgeoisie of Kenya and British colonizers. So again, this realistic historical reference is coming. So historical evidence can also be found within the textual evidence in this novel. So how he describes that. And despite the sun and the draft and his anxiety over the fate of his donkey, he would feel that Mau Mau was only a link in the chain in the long struggle of African people through different times at different places. New horizons, again, like the time in the forest with Ole Masai, or Ole Masi. They called him Muhindi, but now he didn't mind that. So here is the reference of Mau Mau rebellion. So direct reference is given. That's good. In the further course of the same part, we find that Naderi Warrior. See now again, see how capitalism is working within this novel. So it is that Naderi Warrior. We are having one character. So in beginning, how he is depicted by the author, like he is very kind person, that he wants to stay with the people, the poor people. But once he gets to the money, once he gets the orders from the elite class, then he does not consider them. So here is the whole description of him, that how he is taken over by capitalism or capitalist ideology. So again, it is there. And yes, here are my works cited. And now I'd like to have the questions, please.
Yes, Nero, my question is, where would you locate the political brutality, like you mentioned in the capitalist, ugly side of capitalism, and who are the bourgeoisie in the novel?
Yes, sure. See, first, the direct reference from the characters we have. First, let us see, where would you locate political brutality? So first, I have mentioned about the murder of this Asian person. So he was against the imperialism, and he kept on rebelling against them, and he was murdered by the imperialists. And even, see, there was a reference, if you read in the slide there, that the police does not do anything. or this. He was not captured. Anybody was not captured. The person is killed. The file is closed. Nothing happened. So it is the political brutality, we can say, in a sense. And who are the bourgeoisie in the novel? So first, the obvious character is that our Naderi Variera. So once he is very kind of like a Marxist, or he wants to stay with the people, poor class. Now again he becomes very rich person, and then he does not care for the poor people. So here we are having this bourgeoisie in terms of this Naderi Variera. So yeah, more okay. Acha, the next one. What's the impact of political action?
The question is,
Yes.
what is the impact of political corruption and capitalist dominance on the characters of each
Yes,
character?
yes, exactly. So good question. See, what is the first? I would like to go by the first. Like, what is the political impact of political corruption? So there are characters like this. There is drought, or we can say famine in the Ilmoro. Then these four people, that Vanja, then Munira, and other two, that Abdullah and Karega, they four travel to Nairobi, and there they find some MPs. They are corrupt, and they are not getting aid for their village, because the village there is famine and nobody has a food to eat. So they are with hope, they are living for the Nairobi, and in Nairobi they are finding nothing, but they are just like put in the jail, they are barred. So these things happen. So this is the impact on the four characters of the political corruption within the novel we find. And a second question, in capitalist dominance of the characters. Yes, in capitalist dominance, what happens? Like, see, when the capitalist society is there as soon as, then you have to strive for yourself, for your survival. You have to go on in the food struggle. Then you have to do like things like the Vanja becomes prostitute. She opens a whorehouse. Later on, was burnt, put on the fire by Munira, perhaps Munira or Karegai. So Vanja, in brief, I would like to say that yes, Vanja becomes a prostitute and he opens a warehouse, like say a whorehouse. Understand the where the prostitute works. You understand the things now. So this is the thing. So these are the impacts that for the sake of survival, a person are forced to do anything, even if they are not interested in doing this. So this is the impact of this capitalism in the novel on one character. Any other questions? Oh, thank you.
Good. Your slides were very good. Infographics that you have used were also very appropriate. Well collected. Good hard work is done. And citations are also good. Eagleton, Anya Lumba, then this journal from Nigeria. This is Journal of Pan-African Studies. That also is good reference.